What up, it's your boy T-Bird and reaction. Today is Wrestling Wednesday. Well, check this video from WrestleLamia, and this is 10 WWE wrestlers who debut as fans in the audience. So, for those you know not crazy familiar with wrestling, there's always been like wrestlers who debut as a fan in the audience though, and that's when the wrestling term called plan. And there's wrestler who became Hall of Famers off of their legendary run, starting up as a Planet fans. The one being Hillbilly Jim, one of the first. Hillbilly Jim was like one of the first ever thing that did that type of debut as well too, as a fan first, being a fan of Hulk Hogan, then teaming up with Hulk Hogan against his next opponent as well too. A lot of memorable fan turned wrestlers, Planet fan turned wrestlers was known, such as Santino Marella, Mickie James, Rosa Mendes, who else? Serena Demon, and many others. So, and as well as Earthquake, so many others. So, without further ado, let's check out 10 wrestlers who debut as fans in the audience. Let's get it.
Now, there have been some wild and unique debuts throughout WWE history, but from time to time, WWE likes to debut a brand new wrestler by disguising them as an actual fan. This approach works rather well, as fans instantly relate to the wrestler in question, and over the years, some of the most iconic names in WWE history have debuted in this exact same manner. Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at 10 WWE wrestlers who debuted as fans. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out WrestleLamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10, Emma. In 2014, when WWE made plans to call NXT's Emma up to the main roster, they had a clear creative vision in mind. Emma would appear in the audience on both Raw and SmackDown, and gradually over a few weeks, the fans would begin to question Emma's motives and question why she was hanging around in the audience. Following her being planted in the audience for a number of weeks, Emma would officially become a member of the main roster when Santino Marella called her out of the audience for a dance-off. It was appreciated that WWE didn't retcon Emma's celebrated history in NXT, as it was mentioned both by Santino as well as the WWE commentary team that Emma was previously a key part of the Black and Gold brand. This was a clever way to call up a talent from NXT, and pairing Emma with someone as popular as Santino was a smart initial move on behalf of WWE.
Who also, as I mentioned, was a fan debut as a fan in the audience.
Number 9,
Steve Blackman.
Of the Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman was one of the most underrated stars of the Attitude Era. Blackman's martial arts gimmick was way ahead of its time, and fans had fond memories of Blackman's work, especially in the hardcore division.
Party time!
What is often forgotten about when it comes to Blackman is that he debuted as a fan back in '97. On the November 7th, 97 episode of Raw, Blackman would be sitting in the crowd, and he would jump the guardrail to attack the Hart Foundation who were attacking Vader. He would be given instant credibility with his presentation, and a substantial push would follow. He'd be a part of Team USA at the 97 Survivor Series in a featured match against Team Canada. Following this push, Blackman would have a number of notable feuds in the
fight pit match.
Ken Shamrock and Shane McMahon. Number 8,
Rosa Mendes.
When Rosa Mendes took part in the 2006 Diva Search, WWE believed that she had true potential.
Which one, Melina at first?
To a WWE developmental deal.
Oh, WWE.
Fast forward to 2008, and they would decide to call up Mendes to the main roster, and they had an interesting storyline planned for her. She would pose as a fan, specifically a Beth Phoenix super fan. Their support of Phoenix would escalate when Mendes jumped the guardrail to attack Phoenix's arch-rival Melina. WWE would then declare that Mendes was banned from...
Funny thing about her name was, before that they showed was Melina in a way, spelled differently, but still.
All future WWE events, but she got around this by disguising herself as a member of Melina's paparazzi. Phoenix would eventually hire Mendes in the storyline to be her and Santino Marella's intern, and this would ultimately be the highlight of her WWE run. She would transition into a manager for Primo and Epico in later years, whilst remaining active whenever WWE needed her. She had a decent run in the company that lasted over a decade, which was certainly a noteworthy achievement for the former Diva Search star. Number 7.
Hillbilly Jim. There we go.
But the debut of Hillbilly Jim was nothing like WWE had ever done before. He'd be seen in the front row
first
of live
ever.
events, and he'd be known to fans as simply Big Jim. Eventually, he would appear as a guest on Piper's Pit, and this would lead to Hulk Hogan training him to become a WWE superstar. In a series of vignettes, Hogan would be seen training Jim. And
I heard about this. This was so awesome.
Of wrestling boots. This was a huge spotlight for Hillbilly Jim's persona, and to his credit, he managed to get over with the audience, and our fans loved what he offered. Although Jim never won a championship in WWE, he was a certified legend and would later be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018. Number 6, Serena Demon. In early 2010, WWE would debut Serena Demon, and their plan was for Serena to join CM Punk in a straight edge society. On the January 22nd, 2010 edition of SmackDown, she sat in the audience before she jumped over the guardrail in an attempt to get to Punk. Serena would scream, "I need you," over and over, and this was when Punk offered her a spot in the Cultist stable. In unique fashion, she would have her head shaved, which was just highlighted how dedicated and passionate Serena was about her role. Her initial WWE run ultimately came to an end after WWE
I ain't gonna lie, she did look kind of sexy with the short hair.
Ruled that she wasn't living the straight edge lifestyle in real life.
Oh! Was that, hold on. Was that Adam Cole she was drinking with? I just thought about that. Was that Adam Cole?
After WWE ruled that she wasn't living the straight edge lifestyle in real life.
I think that might have been Adam Cole.
Being what she or fans expected, she would have a number of guest stints in WWE a number of years later before becoming a permanent fixture of AEW's women's division. Number 5,
Earthquake.
Earthquake had an insanely memorable WWE debut in the late 80s. On the November 11th, 1989 edition of Superstars, Dino Bravo would challenge the Ultimate Warrior to a strength test. Bravo,
his situation was so messed up. Dino Bravo,
along with his manager Jimmy Hart, suggested that a member of the audience should be picked, and Bravo and Warrior would perform push-ups with a fan on their back. This was when the man who would be later known as the Earthquake would be selected. Earthquake informed the audience that his name was simply John, and when it was time for Earthquake to sit on the back of the Warrior, Earthquake would officially become the member of the roster when he used a seated senton on the Warrior. Earthquake would then perform several big splashes on the incapacitated Warrior, making fans instantly know that Earthquake was a devastating force in WWE. This was an ingenious way for them to debut a new star, and it worked wonders for Earthquake's connection with the audience. Number 4, Zac Gagne. WWE likes to experiment with their programming from time to time, and the in-ring debut of Zac Gagne was certainly an interesting storyline that transpired in 2003. Gagne would debut as a fan in May of the aforementioned year and would jump the barricade in order to help Hulk Hogan, aka Mr. America, who was being attacked by Roddy Piper and Sean O'Haire. Gagne had a prosthetic leg, so WWE naturally decided to incorporate this into his debut as Piper pulled off the prosthetic leg completely. He would be instantly thrown into the big time, as during his first few months he would work with WWE legends such as Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, and The Big Show. He would even wrestle the former WWE chairman Vince McMahon. So it was evident that WWE believed that Gagne would be a huge star for the company. Now, his run in WWE though wouldn't last too long, as he was released in 2004 for having backstage heat. Nevertheless, Gagne looks fondly back on his WWE run and appreciates the platform.
And he was recently at a WWE show too with his kids, not too long ago.
Given at such an early age. Number 3,
Mickey James.
Well, the WWE debut of Mickie James was executed to perfection. In October 2005, Trish Stratus would defeat Victoria on Raw, and following the match, she would attack Stratus only for an unknown woman to make the save. This unknown woman was Mickie James. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler sold this amazingly on commentary, as they had no idea who Mickie was, and Lawler questioned if Mickie came from the crowd. She would be declared as a super fan of Trish, and this would be a storyline which would develop over the next several months. The storyline between the two would be insanely compelling, and it was rare that WWE would devote this much time and effort into a women's storyline back in the Ruthless Aggression era. Mickie's admiration of Stratus eventually turned sinister, leading to an acclaimed matchup at WrestleMania 22. And the initial debut was the perfect introduction of Mickie to the WWE audience, and she would end up being one of the most iconic female talents in WWE history. Number 2, Beth Phoenix.
That's right.
One year after WWE,
wow, back to back, like it.
WWE hit a home run with the debut of Mickie James. They attempted a similar approach with the debut of future Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix. On the May 8th, 2006 edition of Raw, Phoenix would emerge from the crowd attacking Mickie. It was then explained that she and Mickie were old friends, but Phoenix was swearing revenge because Mickie had ruined her life. This debut is often forgotten about, mainly because Phoenix was taken off TV shortly after her initial debut. When she eventually returned in 2007, a rocket was strapped to her as she became the top star in the women's division, where she would be cemented for the next several years.
Sir.
And number 1,
Santino
Santino
Marella.
Marella. One of the most iconic debuts of the Ruthless Aggression era was that of Santino Marella. Marella would debut on the April 16, 2007 episode of Raw, which was emanating from Milan, Italy. Marella was present as a fan who was picked out of the crowd by Vince McMahon as an opponent for the villainous Umaga. Marella vs Umaga would be a match for the IC title, and following some interference from Bobby Lashley, he would win the title in one of the biggest upsets in WWE history. It was a fantastic and memorable moment that still holds up over 15 years
So
later.
crazy that it's like a big like connection with those that David fans teaming with each other, stuff like that. With Santino, who's David's fan, team with Beth Phoenix, who's David's fan, and then they all brought in Rosa Mendes as well too. Crazy right there.
Marella would go on to have a rather successful
what's up,
WWE
buddy?
career, winning the IC title on a number of occasions and taking part in some of the most hilarious comedic segments ever seen on WWE programming.
Cool. So there you have it, though. This will be interesting. I want to check out one day 10 wrestlers who was retired in 2023. But other than that, this was a good video right here, though. Check out some of the plans, though. A lot of them I mentioned and remember as well, too, like Steve Blackman, Rosa Mendes, Earthquake, Hillbilly Jim, Serena Demon, Zac Gagne. I forgot to mention Zac Gagne, though. I forgot he did start as a fan as well, too. But yeah, majority of them that I did mention. There's some other ones that came as well, too. I can remember, but other than that, Kurt Angle actually David's fan too, but I bet he was but I think he was like well known as a living gold medalist then at the time as well too. But yeah, other than that, this was a good video. So if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.